basically, we run a real estate sales team, and our job is to recommend listings to the buyers. Okay. So how that works is, maybe via friends, family, or past clients recommendation, we have people come up to us and ask us, John, can you show me some houses? I want to buy real estate in New York. So we're based in New York. So currently we are only focused in New York, and certain areas within New York. Okay, so that's the context of what we're about to go over. And when they come up to us, we're not going to obviously build houses for them. So we look into the current market to find the best suited listings for them. Okay. But it's very important to understand a concept is that buyers, they all have access to the same websites and tools, but it's just that they're so busy with their daily lives. They might be working, they might be taking care of their children. They don't have time to really dig into all the websites and look for houses that they may consider. So they rely on professionals like us to find them the houses that is, recommended um, based on their criteria and needs. Okay, so that's the basic, purpose, not purpose, but that's a basic situation of what we're trying to achieve, and that's what you need to know. So what we're doing right now, what I'm going over right now is how do we find the best suited listings and compile them into an attractive ad. It's not really an ad because we're not gonna post it on the ads website, but we're trying to compile them into a condensed paragraph that will make the prospective buyers want to ask us or inquire about this listing. Okay. Any questions so far?
Nice advice.
Okay, so I'm going to go over more in details later. Okay, so just bear with me. So the three main websites that we use to find these listings are Redfin, Compass, and Zillow. So bear in mind that from today's training, 70% will be based on, the overall concept and the main idea behind why we're doing everything, because you have to understand why we're doing all these tasks in order to perform them well. So I will divide 70% of today's the time from today's training into explaining to you why we're doing this and why some of the things are very important for you to understand. And then 30% will be dedicated for exactly how to find those listings. Okay. So this is a basic scope of work type of training, because these are the things that I cannot easily put them into tutorial because these are the basic understandings. So first thing that you have to know is three main websites to find real estate listings. Okay. So I'm going to group them into an order that we, based on how heavily we rely on them. So the number one will be Compass. Okay. Number two will be Zillow. And number three would be Redfin. So among the buyers, Zillow is actually the most popular website, but due to its restrictions, a lot of information cannot be found on the website. That's why I put it as number two. But Zillow have all the listings. Okay. So, let's say if there are 100 sellers that want to sell their house, 100 of them will put on Zillow. maybe 95 of them will have their houses appear on Compass, and maybe 93 will appear on Redfin. Okay, but it's because there are some of the information that we need to gather for our buyers are not shown on Zillow. That's why we don't rely on Zillow that much. So we only rely on Zillow when we can't find information on Compass. So we have to rely on Zillow. Like I said, some of the listings were not found on Compass. Will need to go into Zillow. Okay, so before I get into more details, I want to emphasize that once again, this training is very important for you to understand the basic scope of work and why we're doing a lot of the tasks. And you will need to re-listen to this training again and put together a very detailed notes, okay, and send it to me before I give you any tasks, because I have to make sure you fully understand why we're doing this before I assign any tasks to you. So make sure you bear that in mind. So if you can, try to jot down the notes right now while you hear, while you listen to this training. Okay. So this is the Compass website. It's compass.com. So I'm just going to do a general idea right now. Okay. So I'm going to just type New York. Okay, so the first thing you notice is that if you type New York without hitting the enter, you'll see that there are several options. So I'm just going to click on New York. Okay, and it's going to affect how we will teach you to do the further trainings. So this is a basic map of New York. Okay, so just to draw and let you know the areas that we cover. Okay, so we cover these, let me see, these areas. Okay, so that means real estate listings within this circle drawn area that fit our buyers' criteria would need to be put into an attractive ad format. Okay, so it should be attractive ad format. It's not an ad, but it's a format. Okay, so what this means is that I can't just send them, oh, Mr. Smith, this is 210 Lowe's Avenue, 5 beds, 2.5 baths, 2250 square feet in this picture. They won't know what's inside. They won't know what's good about this house, and they won't know what's the feature and the benefits of this house. So basically, we're trying to put together some information into 1 or 2 paragraphs that will make the prospective buyer understand why this is something that they should consider. Okay, so that's basically what we're doing. So, but before you're able to put together something like that, you have to understand what would attract the buyers, what would entice them, what would make them want to see this house. Okay, so just a little background about how we make business. So we make business when we take out prospective buyers. So let's go step by step. So we put together so the first call, we speak to the prospective buyer. They will tell us, okay, I have this kind of budget, I want to buy this kind of house, I have this kind of criteria. So we write them down, right? That's the first thing we do. Okay, so I'm just going to write down for now. Talk with buyer. Okay, write down their needs and criteria. Number 2 is we look up listings that they might consider based on their criteria. Okay. Number 3, we put those listings into ad format, so it seems more condensed, concise, and attractive. we send them these listings. And then if they're interested in any of them, they'll ask us to schedule a showing. Okay. So what does scheduling a showing means? That means they want to see the house. So we have to contact the seller's real estate agent and coordinate a showing so we can bring the buyers to see the house. So once they see the house, they make an offer. And if everything goes well, we sell this house. Okay, so, that's basically what you need to know. So if we go backwards, right? If we, reverse engineer, if we want to sell this house, they have to first make an offer. If they want to make an offer, they have to first see the house. How do we generate, these housing opportunities? We have to send them the listings that will attract them, right? So there are so many listings. There are 19,000 homes in the area that we cover, right? So we have to first put together the houses that just came on the market today. And then we have to find the houses that's been on the market, but they've never seen it before. Okay. Or maybe they've never paid attention to them. So our job is to try to find ways to put together the houses on the market into an attractive format so we can, generate housing opportunities. Okay. So that's basically what we're doing. Okay. So this is just a background. So I'm not going to leave this on here because, this is just to emphasize why we're doing this and why it's important to do this right. So once we're in here, okay, let's say if this is the areas that we cover. The first thing we have to also know, the second thing we have to also know is that, we only do certain type of properties within certain type of price range. Okay. So the first thing is when you're in Compass, in Zillow, or in Redfin, we only do houses, townhouse, and multifamily. Okay. So I'm going to put this here because this is very important. House, townhouse, multifamily. Okay. That's the first criteria. Second criteria is we don't want any prices above 1.2 million US dollars. Okay. 1.2 M. The third thing is we want a minimum of 3 bedrooms. Okay. So that applies to, whatever website that you use, but we mainly use Compass. I'm going to say it again. We mainly use Compass. And unless I tell you to use other websites, you only use Compass. So, just to save time, I'm going to only explain this in Compass, right? And then I only want active. I don't want coming soon. I don't want under contract. I don't want sold. Okay. Sold is very self-explanatory, right? That means it's not available anymore. Some other buyers bought it. There's no point of seeing the houses that were sold. Under contract means the buyer puts in an offer and the seller agrees to it. They sign a contract and now the buyer will get loan from the bank. So before the loan give the buyer money, it's called under contract. And when the house is under contract, no other buyers can buy it anyway. So we don't want to check on the contract. Coming soon means it's going to be on the market soon, but buyer cannot see the house yet. So we don't want to see coming soon either because we don't want to send this to a buyer and then the buyer wants to see it, but we can't show it. Okay. And the next thing is time on Compass. We only do less than 14 days. Okay. Unless I tell you to do more. Otherwise, you just leave it as, less than 14 days. And then, after that, I want you to also click on MLS listings. Okay. And Compass listings. But make sure you uncheck the coming soons. And then when you're done, basically this is, the bare minimum. Okay. So 3 bedrooms, active only, MLS listing and Compass listing. On check, coming soon. Make sure you do not include coming soon. Okay. If I see you make this mistake multiple times, you will incur a penalty. Okay. Because that's basically putting us backwards. If we send the wrong listing to the prospective buyers, you're making us do extra work. So make sure you do not do that. But just for your reference, when you actually get the settings right, okay, there will be a specific link. If you just use that link, you won't make any mistake. So under 14 days, okay, unless I give you other instructions. Otherwise, this is the basic criteria. Okay. So once we enter the criteria, these are the houses that, show available to us, right? So you'll see that there are different things. The next thing we need to do is we need to sort by newest. We only want to see the newest first because we're already, filtering out the houses that have been on the market for over 14 days. So we obviously want to see the newest house first. And let me explain to you why. So that means time on Compass. The reason why is the buyers, like I mentioned before, the buyers would also go into here to check on the houses. Okay. And the buyers are not going to be in front of a computer, every second of the day. However, if they do find a house that they have in mind, but they did not receive those listing recommendations from us, they'll, just look up who's the sales agent, and then they'll just make an appointment that way. So that's another thing that I want you to know. We are buyer's agents. We're not seller's agents. So that means we have to find something for the buyers to be interested in so we can arrange a showing or a housing appointment. But if the buyer finds, the listings themselves, they will just make an appointment themselves. So it's very important. It's very, very crucial for us to find the listing in a timely manner. So we have to sort by the time. Okay. So these are the newest ones. And, it's being sorted by the time it came on the market. On market means it becomes available for everyone to see. Okay, that means it's on market. Because nowadays, if someone wants to sell their house, not just putting a sign in front of the house, they also put on the internet. And when we say internet, that means, like I said, Zillow, Compass, Redfin, it will be on the internet. And once it's on the internet, all the prospective buyers that want to buy houses in that area will be made aware of this available listing. So that's what it means. So after you know how to group how to enter the criteria into the houses that you'll find, now you'll have to understand one thing. Okay. So the value of the properties varies by a lot, actually, within this circle. So out of this circle, this area will be, this part, okay, will be the most expensive. Okay. And this part, the south part, well, not all the south, but here and here will be the cheapest. Here also will be the cheapest. So here comes, the next important thing is that buyers, they don't look at the whole circle. Okay. We circle this out. That means my team, our sales team, only go to the regions within the circle. That doesn't mean the buyers, they have this broad of range, because driving from here to here takes about 2 hours. Okay. So if they work here, right? For instance, if they work around Westbury, they only want houses that is within 30 minutes driving distance. Okay, most people want 20 minutes or less. So that means they're they only look at houses in this small area then. Okay, so that's some basic things that I want you to know, because these are things that I don't want to explain again when you start doing a task. So that's why this training is so important. Even if you don't get it right now, it's okay. You have to rewatch it until you understand everything I say in today's training, because for someone that has no experience in the real estate industry in the US, you won't understand that easily, but it's not that hard. It's like if you were to buy or rent a house yourself, first you look at which areas do you prefer. Okay, so no matter where you're from, you are not going to prefer all the areas in the country that you're in, right? Because, or the province that you're in, the state you're in, because you will want a place that, you know, suits your lifestyle, that feels more safe. If you have kids, maybe better for your kids, have better school district that's affordable, that's near your workplace, right? That's near your family and friends. So these are things that people look for. And these are things that we have to be very mindful of when we're finding these listings. Okay. So these are just some basic background. You have to understand this so you don't have to rely on my command every day. You will automatically find the houses that buyers will like. Okay. So those are a general idea. Now let's go into, you know, a little bit of some geography here. So this part is called Long Island. Okay. You know, now we're just talking about the area that we do. So the east part is Long Island. So what I want you to do is when you rewatch this training again, I want you to screenshot this and then circle out by yourself exactly where I'm talking about. So this part is Long Island. Okay. You know, if we're talking about technically, this whole thing is Long Island, but we don't do anything, you know, beyond the circle, right? Like I said. So there's no point of me going over everything. But this part that we do cover is Long Island. This part is Queens in the middle. Okay, not everything in the middle, but like here. Here is the cutoff. So this in the middle is the Queens. Okay, only up to here. Because above is called Bronx. Okay, over here. Here and a little bit of here is Brooklyn and Staten Island. Okay, just call it Brooklyn. Okay. So the main regions that you have to know is this is Brooklyn, the middle is Queens, the top here is Bronx and Long Island. So these are the only areas that we do. Now let's talk about the importance of each region. If we're talking about 100% of where our deals or our sales are coming from, right? 100% of this our sales. I want you to know, you know, which part is the most important. Number one is Queens. Number two is Brooklyn. Number three is Long Island. Number four is Bronx. So what does that tell you? That tell you the most important ads listings that you will always have to prioritize is the Queens one. So if there's, let's say if today when you're compound listing information, right? There are 20 houses that came on the market in the last 24 hours. Okay. Let's assume that you're doing this once a day. If there are 20 houses that came on the market in the last 24 hours, and then you have to compile them into the house ads, you always have to look for the Queens first. So if there are 6 of them that are Bronx, you don't do them until you finish any others. You don't do Brooklyn until you finish Queens. Okay, it's very important. This is priority of areas. You always do Queens first and do Brooklyn and do Long Island and do Bronx. Okay. And, you know, it's not that hard to understand. later, because when you start performing, when you start doing these tasks, I'll give you different maps. That means I'll give you different URLs that will only have certain. So that means if I draw the map again into only Long Island, you will have a specific URL that only shows Long Island. You'll have a specific URL that shows only Queens. So you go to, Queens first, and then you finish, and then you do Brooklyn, and then you do this and you do that. That's basically what it means. Okay. So don't worry about those technicalities yet. Just be mindful that, these are the priorities. Okay. Because I want to train you as if you're part of a in-person salesperson that's dealing with the buyer. Because if you put yourself into our shoes, you'll understand why we need this, why we're doing this, what kind of information do we need, and what kind of, how do we approach the buyers, or how do we come about, finding the right information. Okay, so I am training you as if, you're next to me and we'll be seeing a client later. We'll seeing a buyer later together. Okay. If you're, treating this task like if you're really meeting with these buyers, you will do 100% correctly. Okay. But if you're just one of the ones that, I'm just sitting behind a computer, it's John and his team that's doing this, I don't really care, then I can guarantee you'll do a terrible job at this task. Okay. So I want to emphasize that first, because this is not a very complicated task, but you would need to be very diligent. That means you have to, be in our shoes. You have to put into consideration, such as what the buyers would want to know when I compile and add information, what the buyers would care about when they look at this. Okay, so these are things that I want to make sure I emphasize. And later on, when you rewatch this training video, you'll be able to, put together some notes that will cover everything I say in here. Okay, and based on looking at your notes, I'll know how diligent you are, or how detail oriented you are, or how, concentrated you are while you're watching this video. So now we're done with talking about the regions. Let's talk about what kind of house is more, preferred or is more desirable. Okay. So I'm going to list out a couple of things here. Okay. So these are desirability. Okay. So when buyers look at homes, the first thing they look at is the area, right? But most of the time, the areas don't change. So when we first talk to them, they'll be like, "Oh, John, I only want, this area. These are the areas. This is Canarsie, this is Great Kills, this is Gravesend, this is Greenridge." Let's say I only want Greenridge and surrounding areas. So when a buyer tells me that they want Greenridge and surrounding areas, that means Greenridge is here, and surrounding areas means 15 minutes of driving distance from the Greenridge area. Okay, that's basically what they mean. So that's the first thing that we ask for, and that's the first criteria that they give you. And the reason why I say in surrounding areas is maybe right now they only want Greenridge, but based on our experience helping so many buyers, we know that moving, down the road, if they can't find anything in Greenridge, they will consider anything that's within 15 minutes distance as well. Okay, so first is area. We don't really change that. Okay. Second thing will be their budget. Number 3 would be basic need. Number 4 will be bonus. Okay, so I'm just gonna put it very, very simple. So let's say, let's not talk about the buyers. Let's talk about yourself. Let's say if you have one child and you live with your husband and your child, so there are 3 people right? And let's say if your child is 7 years old. So basically, if you were to rent or buy a house, you will need at least 2 bedrooms. Okay, so it's a very simple concept. And if you do live with your parents, or if you want to live with your brother, then you'll need additional bedrooms. That's called basic need. Okay. So the number of bedrooms is very important, is because that's called basic needs. And if you want to buy a 2-family house, when we say 2-family, that means one family is for myself, another family I want to rent out to other people, so I can collect rent, so I can, someone can help me pay my loan. Okay. Because after I buy the house, I would need to pay back the bank monthly on the loan, right? And if I were to rent out one of the, the stories, we call them stories. That means this is 2-story. This is first floor and second floor. So if it's a 2-family house, that means if it can be legally living in by 2 families, one by myself, one by the one that I rent out to. Usually we live on one floor, and the other, person or the other family will live on another floor. Okay. But when we say family, just means, legality. That doesn't mean that maybe only one person lives there. But when we say 2-family or 3-family, that means it can be legally used into 2 units or 3 units. Okay. Let's just say unit. Maybe it's easier to understand. So unit means if it's being occupied legally. So if I have a 1-family, okay, and if I'm renting out my second floor to another people, and if the government finds out, I'll get fined. I'll get fined because I am not legally allowed to do that. Okay, so that's what that means. So that's called bonus. Okay, so now let's call about bonus. The first bonus is over 1 family. Is always a bonus. Second is brick. 3 is great condition. 4 is big lot. 5 is detached or stand alone. So let's talk about each one. This is a very important concept. That means once they fulfill their basic need, going back to the example, let's say if you, your husband, and your 1 child and your mom live together. So you would need 3 bedrooms. Okay, so 3 bedrooms, and you want 2 bathrooms because you don't want 4 people waiting for 1 bathroom. So at least 2 bathrooms. That's your basic need. That means these are non-negotiable. Even if I don't, find houses in Greenridge. Let's say if Greenridge houses are, let's say 650,000, but my budget is only 600,000. Let's say, hypothetically. So I can't afford the houses in Greenridge. So I have to look around Greenridge. So why do people want to find houses in this area? 80% is because they work near that place. 80%. So that's why it's not easy to change areas into very far away. If they want to buy a house here, most likely they'll stay around here because they will eventually come here. But it might so happen that they just don't have enough budget to buy houses in that area. Okay, so that's why area and then budget is the first 2 things we have to get out of the way, and then it's the basic need. Okay, and then when we're talking about basic need, it's usually the bedroom, bathroom, and the basic feature. Okay, something like maybe they want a backyard, they want it to be close to a bus stop, or they want this or that. That's some basic need. Okay, and then there's bonus. That means, let's say in Greenridge I find 5 houses that is within 600,000. Okay, that matches my 3-bedroom 2-bathroom needs. Oh, let's say. And then anything that has one of these 5 will dramatically increase the desirability of the house. So if I find a house that is 600,000, but it's 2-family and it's only 650,000, imagine 1 family the same house, if it's one family, is 600,000 and two families, 650,000, I can legally rent out the other floor. So usually, just to give you a basic idea, in areas, if one family is about 600,000, two family will cost about 750 to 800. It will be at least 20% higher than, it's one family counterparts. Okay. So even if it looks the same, so right next door, it's being built by the same builder, but one is a two family that's been legalized. That means it's been approved by the government that you can use as two family, and the other one can only be used as one family. The price would usually have about 20% difference, but a minimum of 10 to 20%. Okay. So that's some basic things that you need to know, but this is just a general idea. Is it possible that a seller is willing to sell it for less? Of course it's possible, but a general idea is one family and two family in the same area is usually about 10 to 20% apart in price. Okay. So that's what over one family means. Second is brick. Most buyers prefer brick over wood. We call them frame. So if you look at this, let's just do some basic understanding. Second floor is wood. Okay. First floor is brick. You can see these are the brick patterns, right? This is brick. And first floor is brick. Second floor is wood. And this is all brick. This is all brick. So let's say if we have a house like this and next door a house like that, this house will definitely be more expensive than this one. How more expensive? It's hard to say, but it's definitely more valuable and more expensive in buyer's eyes. Okay. So maybe they're willing, these are in two different areas, but that's why the price is different. Let's just assume they sit next to each other. Okay. And they have the same, everything. Let's say if everything else is the same, this house would be about 5 to 10% more than this house in terms of value. Okay. This is just to give you a general idea of why brick is better. So if, let's say, going back to your daily task, if you see a brick house, that just came on the market in the last 24 hours, it's automatically more valuable than a regular wood house. So let's see if this is all wood. This is all wood. If you look at the side, because a lot of people, they'll put, brick, sort of a wallpaper thing in front, right? Like this, it's actually wood. Because if it's really all wood, it will be throughout. Okay, so this is brick, this is brick, this is brick. This is all wood, everything wood. Okay, so you have to first understand the difference. Okay, these are things that you have to know as well. This is all wood, because brick is very easily recognized. Like this is brick, this is brick, this is wood, right? Because this is called siding. That means it's wood, wood pieces attached onto the house to protect it from the rain, the water, the snow, and things like that. So the next thing would be in great condition. That means inside or interior condition. Okay, so just like if you were to rent a house, you want a house that looks fantastic, that has brand new floors, new countertop, stainless steel refrigerator, oven, and it looks pretty, that you don't have to spend any money on renovating the place, right? Okay, so that's pretty basic and common sense. And the next thing will be big lot. That means it's sitting on bigger land. So big lot will first mean, so let's talk about some basic first. So this is called a semi-detached. That means this is two different houses. Okay, this is not the same house. Maybe this, this only happens in America, but houses do look like this. So this door will go into this house, this door will go into this house. They have two different door numbers. Okay, so this is called semi-detached. That means one side is detached, that means it's empty. The other side is attached. That is called semi-detached. Okay. So there are three types of, let's call it house spacing, right? One is the best detached or standalone. That means like this, one house just like this. Okay. When you look at the exterior picture, like outside picture, you should be able to see like this one standalone, right? There's only one house. This is one house. This is one house. That's the best. Second will be semi-detached. Least preferable would be attached. So what does attached means? That means two sides of the house are your neighbors. So it's attached to the other house. So it looks like this. This one should be attached. Oh, this is semi-detached. So imagine a house that looks like this, but this, see, this side is not connected, right? That's his neighbor, but this is a driveway that you can drive in. But imagine another side also has another house. That means this house is in the middle of the two neighbors. That's called attached. Okay. Like this is attached. This is the neighbor, this is the neighbor, and this, the person owns the property here. So that means this is an attached house. This is an attached house. That means that when you go into the house, on the left side of the wall, if you really hear, if you listen in, you'll be able to hear your neighbor. Maybe it's not that, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Maybe you can't hear them, but if they are arguing or fighting, you should be able to hear them. And on the right side of your house, that's attaching the other house. On the left side of your house is attaching another house. That's called attached. So going back to the bonus, big lot has to first have so I'm going to put number 4 as detached, a standalone house, because if you want, there's no, lot means land, okay? And land means how much land do you own? And if you have an attached house, that means you have the small land, right? Because your land is the same size as your building. But if you own a standalone or detached house like this, you will have a bigger land because, automatically no one's sharing your land, okay? Maybe every country is different, but I'm just explaining to you, if you see a standalone house, automatically that will have a bigger lot. So bonus means once a buyer's basic need is fulfilled, any type of bonus is automatically going to add a value on top of what they're willing to pay. Okay, what they're willing to pay. So that means when we find listings, we preferably try to find these 5 important things first, because let's go back to the process of how we work, right? We have to first find the listings and then we put them into an app format and then we send to the buyer. We copy and paste this format to the buyer so they will find the listing as an attractive house that they will want to see, right? Based on our experience, if it matches any of the 5, it will dramatically increase the chance of them want to see the house. So that's why these 5 things are called bonus, because once you match, if it's 2 family or more, if it's brick, if it has great condition, inside condition, if it's detached and it has big lot, if it has any of them, it will automatically make them want to, see this house more. So these are the things that you have to know first. Okay, so now let's talk about how do we see, like, what kind of information do we need? So we just click onto one of the listings. Okay, so let's look at inside. Does this look good? Of course it looks good. So on a scale of 1 to 10, this is maybe 7 or 8. Okay, 9 or 10 means it looks like a mansion. That means the owner puts in a lot of money into the house. So but this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Okay, so it's a 7 or 8. So I'm just giving you a basic idea. Now let's talk about the information. Square feet is the standard metric we use here in America. That's 1,560 square feet. That means it's the size of the house. Okay, this is very important. Okay, when I talk about how to determine the value of the house, I'll go over this, but now you don't need to know this because you just need to know the basics. I'm only covering the basics today. I know it might be a lot of information to digest, but this is just basic information. So I'm just teaching you that. That's why you have to rewatch this training for sure. Okay. So this is the address. This part is the address. This is the price, right? The 3 beds, 1 bath, and a half bathroom. Half bathrooms means it doesn't have a bathtub. Full bath means it has a full bathtub. The reason why we prefer Compass is they're laying out the information based on what the buyers are looking for, right? Basic needs, bedroom, bathroom. That's the most basic thing. The house can look fantastic, but the bedrooms are not enough for their family. Then, why bother clicking into this house, right? And if they need at least, most houses, that's one of the basic need as well. So square footage is a basic need. So let's talk about square footage. I don't want to go into too much. So most one family will be between 1,000 and 1,300 square feet. Okay, we're talking about 90%, maybe 80%. 80% of the house of one family is between 1,000 and 1,300 square feet. Would there be a 950 one? Of course. Would there be a 1,400? Of course. But 80% is between that. Two family is harder to say, but two family is mostly 1,400 to, I want to say 1,900. Okay, square feet. And then we're talking about 70% because two family houses are, are more, has more types. Okay. But you don't need to know that much details because you're not meeting the buyers, but you will need to know the basics. Okay. So these are the basic square footage of one family and two family. So that's why we admire so much about Compass, is because they put out important information here. So if you see a one family that has 1,560 square feet, that means what? That means it's larger than most of the one family houses that the buyers might see. This automatically is a plus. Okay. And one of the things that the buyers might see as well is the price per square feet, but this really varies by area. So this might not be a good reference, but they put out here just so that if a buyer is looking into this area, they will know that, okay, this area, the average price per square foot is about 500. This is 417. That means it's very, very cheap. Okay. And but this you don't have to go into it. I'm just letting you know why we like Compass so much. And so you know that what are the information that we look into and that we care as well. Days on the market, very important, okay? Because we want to prepare the houses that just came on the market, and we want to send to the buyer as soon as possible. This is listed today. That means it just came up today. Taxes is very important, okay? But taxes are things that buyers do care, but they only mind if it's higher than usual. Okay. And every area is different. So this is one of the things that we also look at. Total rooms you can ignore because that doesn't mean bedroom. Single family, Compass type, this is called single family, right? Lot size, like I said, lot is the land. So the land size is 34 square feet. So let's talk about the lot size. So a small lot is between 1,500 to 2,500. It's called small lots. Average lot is 25 to 3,000, 3,500 actually. Big, 35 or higher. Huge, 50, 100 or higher. Okay. So that's, we have to know this is because the price would be different. The same exact house that has the same exact condition, the same exact inside square footage, but the lot size is different, is the price will be different. So the same house that is sitting on a small lot, and the next door neighbor has the same house, same condition, same inside size, square footage, but the next door neighbor has a 5,000 square feet lot. The price will be very, very different. It will be maybe 15% higher. So, but it based on the area, right? Some areas, bigger lots are more common. Some areas, bigger lots are very, very rare, and those will be very, very expensive. So you don't need to know exactly how much more expensive. You just need to know what is better, okay? Because for you, in order for you to put together a good ad, you have to know what is better. So you know what has to come first when you talk about this house, okay? And don't worry, you don't have to come up with ideas, okay? I will teach you what to do, but you will need to first understand what is more important, what is more prioritized, what is more preferred, okay? So if you see it, so for example, I'm just going to give you an example. If you look at a house when you are putting together an ad, you have a house that's 1,000 square feet inside, interior size. I'm just gonna call interior size, okay? And it has a 3,500 square feet lot. Okay. It has 4 bedroom, 2.5 bathrooms. 1,000 square feet, 35, and condition is mint. Okay, what does mint mean? Mint means on a scale of 1 to 10, it's about 6 to 7. That's called mint. That means it's livable, but it's not preferable. Okay, under 6, 5 or under is not very good. Okay, if it's 4 or less, that means it needs work. So that's just giving you a basic idea. Okay, so if there's a house 123 Main Street that has these main features, now let's talk about if we want to put together an ad, what should come first? This needs to come first. Why? Because that is bigger than, that's called big, right? 3,500 square feet is called big. So it's a big lot. That means it's a big bonus. 4 bedroom is a bonus because most one family houses are 3 bedrooms. Okay, that's one thing that I did not mention. So most one family house will have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. That's the common, maybe 90%. Okay, so if that's 4 bedroom, that's automatically better. But it's 1,000 square feet. That is smaller than, that's on the small side of regular one family. So if you see a 1,000 square feet that is on the small side of one family, but it has 4 bedrooms, what does that mean? That means the bedrooms will be very cramped. So even though it has 4 bedrooms, they will be very small because the areas are there. And there's nothing you can do, right? Because it's limited. If it's 1,300 square feet, let's say if it's 1,400 square feet and has 4 bedrooms, that means it's spacious because it's bigger than usual one family size, and that's why. And thus that has more bedrooms. That makes more sense. It has more bedrooms, but it's on the small side of one family. That means maybe they're converting the living room into a bedroom because you only have limited size. So I'm giving you some basic idea of how we look at the value of the home and what's more valuable. Okay. And when you look at compass, these and your belt is important, but it's not, the most important thing. And when you look at compass, right, this is a basic ad that the seller's agent, okay, because like I said, the seller who's selling this house also hires an agent that will represent them. Seller's agent write out a basic ad information about this house. Okay. So, and then and the style is called colonial. This you don't really need to know. That means it's 2 stories. Okay. So another thing is 2-story that means 2 floors. Okay. 2 floors will be worth more money than 1 floor. So this is called 2-floor house, right? If you see a house that doesn't have the top portion, only 1 floor, that is automatically not as desirable as 2 floors. But there aren't that many house types here in New York. Most are either colonial. Colonial means 2 floors, or ranch. Ranch means 1 floor. Okay. So another thing that is very important is that we need to know the building size of the house. We know the square footage, right? This is the total square footage, but we need to know how wide and how deep. So how do we find that information? Usually if we go down here, it will say the building size 25 by 25. 25 square feet by 25 feet by 25 feet. That means it's 25 feet wide and 25 feet deep. So what does that mean? It's a square shaped house. Okay. So let's look at other houses for sale, just for your reference. Let's click on this one. First thing you have to make sure is always says active. Active means it's currently available for buyers to see. And days on the market, 93 days. So this is a house that's been on the market for a while. Most houses will sell in 60 days. So if it's over 60 days, what does that mean? That means the price is too high. That's just for your reference. Okay, so if we go in here, we also will see some additional information here, but don't get carried away and don't feel overwhelmed because I don't need you to dig into here. I'm just letting you know what it includes. So the reason why we like Compass is that it includes most of the information that we need. They even include the school, have the school ratings for elementary school. For grades, elementary school and high school, it shows the rating 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. So these are things that we might need you to gather in the future, but not right now. Okay. So this is something that I want you to know. This house has a building size here, but let's say if you find a house that doesn't show here, what do? Okay. We go in here. There's a building section. You click onto this. So 1 unit means it's 1 family, or single family. It means the same thing. Single family, 1 family means the same thing. I need you, when you rewatch this video, you will need to jot this down as part of your important notes. Okay. 1 unit and 2 unit. 2 stories means 2 floors. Okay. Like I said, 1 family and 2 family has, dramatically different value. So you have to make sure that you know how many unit or how many families are there. So after you watch this video, after you send me the notes, I will send you a few listings and you have to extract the information out of it and I have to make sure that you understand each important point that I mentioned today. Okay. So going back, if you don't see the building size here, what you do is you click into here. This is what we call a public record. That means government record. So government record will have more information. So it will tell you the, building width and building depth. How wide is the building? 14. That means 14 by 48. Okay. Also the lot. That means 27 by 140. That's basically the only instance where you need to click into here. Otherwise, you don't need to come into here. Most of them, I'll say 80% of the instances will have 80% of the listings will have the building size in here. Okay, that's why we use Compass. Zillow does not have this. Redfin does not have this. That's one of the main reasons why we use Compass. So this is basically how you look at the listing.